Hi, I'm Adam. This is my first video. I wanted to talk to you guys because I've played about 100 hours of the Forever Winter and I just can't stop thinking about it. This has been going on for about a year. I think the game came out about, this time, September, November 2024. And I have just been obsessed with this game, even though 100 hours isn't a great indication that somebody's obsessed with a game, but it's just the fact that I keep thinking about the philosophy, the story, the setting, um, the art. This is a really special game, I think, and it's early access, but
Hard to breathe up here.
there's already
But the
something
mask helps.
really innovative about it. And it's kind of hard to put your finger on, but that's why we're here. I want to talk about it. So I want you to understand if it's worth a try, if you haven't tried it yet. So Forever Winter is a third-person extraction shooter. It also mixes in other genres like horror and survival. It's crafting too, and you can play it four-player co-op online with your buddies. There's no competitive play or PvP. As far as I know, there's no plans to add it. But to me, the setting of the game is like the main character. And what I mean by that is, there's about five playable characters. I prefer Mask Man. It's my favorite. He's like the most balanced, and I've got him to level 25 or so. I think it goes up to about 50, but 25 is when the benefits of leveling up start to taper off, as I understand. So the year is 20XX. It's been maybe 40 years since the war started. And the war's been raging for so long that it's not clear why or when it all started. Scarce resources, rotten politics, boredom might have led to this chaotic perpetual loop. And you're a scavenger. You live underground, you only come to the surface looking for scraps. The raging war is between two main factions, Europa and Eurasia. There's also a third faction, Euruska, who support Eurasia. Um, Europa is North America plus Western Europe, and um, all the factions have a really cool signature aesthetic and fighting style and philosophy as civilizations do. But Eurasia is most of Asia, if not all of Asia, and they've completely re-engineered what it means to be human. Um, Most of their infantry are cyborgs who are mostly machine with human brain in there somewhere that still functions. They're completely aware of their surroundings and what's going on, but they have no control over their actions. They're just like mindless or zombies almost. At least the lowest tier of infantry. The Eurasian people will be captured, punished. Um, the bottom of the barrel people in that society will get kidnapped, made into cyborgs, and then put dumped, literally dropped out of airplanes onto the battlefield, um, where if they complete their task, they might get a reward like an upgrade or a promotion. I mean, a physical upgrade to their cyborg body. Yuruska is Russia plus a bunch of Africa and some of Eastern Europe. Um, Yuruska took Eurasia's technology, and rather than going full cyborg, they sort of made these biomechanical horrors, absolute dreadful monstrosities that stalk the battlefield and will hunt you down, and there's nothing you can really do about it sometimes. But Yoruska kind of plays a defensive role in support of Eurasia. And the thing about the Forever Winter, though, is that you're not on either one of these sides. You're not on a faction, you're not European, you're not Eurasian. You're just a civilian caught in the middle. As the war rages on, the battlefield changes. So you could enter an area and Europa's in control, and their tanks are out, and their infantry's out, and their mechs are patrolling the battlefield, destroying Eurasia. But once you leave, if you come back, now Eurasia might be in control, or Yoruska might be in control. So there's this concept of battlefield fluidity where the war is always changing. And that means every time you play, it's a little bit different. You're fighting the obstacles between point A and point B. It's an extraction shooter. So that's the core gameplay. You spawn in and you need to get to the extraction. But the hope is, along the way, you're going to pick up some useful stuff. You're just trying to scrape together a little more water, food, and ammunition so you can survive one more day. And it might be the most compelling video game setting I've ever experienced. So the story takes place in and around the remnants of California. Nuclear war destroyed everything, and there was complete ecological collapse. I mean, there's not a single green tree in the game that I've seen anyway. There's some husks of trees and stumps, but the story goes that God created man, man created AI, and then AI turned itself into God. So AI governs, AI creates, AI directs, AI provides.
Don't miss. Make every shot count.
And part of the reason this story is so compelling is because this is the path that we're on today. There's a very real future where AI has a great deal of control over our lives. So we're quickly approaching that. So anyway, AI was given the power to create machines, produce and manufacture, and then it was infused into the military, where AI is watching the battlefield, directing troops, giving orders, creating missions for the armies. And Europa has their own AI, Eurasia has their own AI, and they're in conflict over territory. But basically AI does everything. And it's been so long since the war started that people don't even really know why they're fighting. Even just on a day-to-day basis, what's happening is the AI is playing the battlefield like these people are chess. They're moving tanks and battleships, planes into position, and then telling the troops, your mission is to go take that bunker. And if you get that bunker from Eurasia, we'll drop some ammo for you. So it's giving task-based missions to troops, and the troops, how else are they going to get another supply drop? They just take these orders and run with them. But what's most fascinating about the game is really how art was used in the designs, in the philosophy, it's really a game made by artists, and you can tell. You can tell visually. You can tell based on the lore, which, as far as I know, the Fundog Studios who developed the game have been kind of trying to stay out of confirming or denying lore, although they do drop updates pretty frequently, which it's really cool how they do that. When they post about a new update, they usually do it in character, in world. So there's kind of this role playing, breaking of the fourth wall, where the studio has an in-game avatar that they speak through, but they also break the fourth wall like Deadpool, and they speak directly to the audience about it being a game, even though it's in character. It's a unique marketing strategy that I haven't seen much of, if at all. But the reason I think it's worth trying now in early access, and why it's worth your money and time, is that there's really no other game like this from a lore perspective. Now, they've taken symbols and motifs and tropes from all over the place. I mean, we're talking The Matrix, Terminator, Mad God, which I haven't watched yet, but I really want to watch now that I know that The Forever Winter was inspired in part by that film. Mad God is by Phil Tippett, and he's the special effects guy who worked on the original Star Wars films, doing practical effects, as well as some other really big films. He's like a legend in the special effects space, and it's a great example of games as art. I know, like, there's this debate, like, are video games really art or not? And it's kind of precarious to even engage in the debate, because I think people who spend as much time playing games as I do would say there isn't really a debate anymore. Games are an art form. But it's a unique art form. I mean, if a movie is considered art, or an album, if music is art, I don't really see why games wouldn't be, because both films and art require a huge team of artists to come together to make a product. And that's very similar to video games, but this game is really what convinced me unequivocally that games are art. Now, it's dark, it's horrific, it's frightening at times, but there's this thread of humor that is weaved all throughout the Forever Winter, and it's subtle, but it builds a contrast to the dark topic matter, and almost symbolically, through the use of humor, they bring you in on the joke, by poking a little bit of fun in the middle of post-nuclear apocalyptic decay. The humor lets you know that there's something bigger than just a horror survival extraction shooter. There's a greater message beyond the surface, and it's really a critique of shooters. It's a critique of war. It's a critique of AI. This game it's pushing a message in a way that you don't feel bad realizing it. Now, a lot of media today, games, films, music, TV shows, there's this underlying message they want you to be on board with. They want their politics to move through the medium into your head, and they use their medium to push the narrative. The Forever Winter does something so different in that there's clearly underlying philosophy about war that's present in the medium, the game, and the marketing, and but it's so subtle and open for interpretation that it doesn't feel cringy that you're getting this message from the developers of Fundog Studios, right? And I mean, it's not a bad message. War is hell. The idea is that if complete destruction, if cyborg invading armies really showed up, I mean, you're not going to be a fucking action hero. You're going to be a stain on the ground. That's really the message. The Forever Winter isn't trying to tell you that you're going to rise up and defeat the invading armies. It's telling you that you're barely going to make it. And everyone you know probably isn't going to make it. And all the heroic, dramatic tools of games and films, all of the heroics are only going to get you a little bit of scraps off the ground. They're not going to get you the grand finale saving the world. You're just going to barely scrape by if anything. And that comes through in the gameplay. You're not supposed to fight every enemy. You're not supposed to look at a squadron of super soldiers and think, yeah, I can take them, because you can't. I mean, maybe you could with the right tools, and there is a great sense of progression in the game in that you start with nothing, and as you get some better guns and equipment and upgrade your little rat hole in the tunnels underground, you can start to have a lot more agency and take on a lot more fights. It's not to say that you have to avoid every fight, it's just that you're probably better off staying in the shadows most of the time. If you don't have to fight, don't. You can see in these clips that I was fighting a lot of cyborgs. They're relatively easy to kill, and so are drones. You could take on people your own size most of the time. Sometimes it's tough, especially if they have grenade launchers. Do not fight people with grenade launchers if you don't have to. But the enemies that are bigger than infantry are deadly. You can technically kill them, but it takes a lot of preparation and experience to be able to fight them comfortably. And I want to make a whole bunch of videos about the Forever Winter. Like I mentioned, this is my first video ever on YouTube, and I was doing a bunch of editing. I've got this idea for like a beautiful video essay on the Forever Winter that I want to make. And if you want to see that, I'd love if you would subscribe. I'm going to be trying to post this channel consistently I just have so much that I want to talk about, and I hope that you're here to listen and talk with me. Really, you know, I'd love to hear comments, and you know, stay tuned for the next one. Thanks.